evening. It's about supper time here in Northern Ontario. I just put some ribs in the oven, and I'm going to wait 2 hours before I can eat. So I'm going to start this. I'm going to do this in two sections today. We're going to do this right now, where I'm going to paint the castings experiments that I did with sculpt to mold, plaster Paris and mortar. I'm losing touch. So what I've got in front of me right here is a can of household latex paint. Got it from my local home hardware. Picked out a gray. I'm going to thin it a little with water, and I'm going to paint the sculpt to mold with that one, with a brush, paintbrush. The middle one, which is the plaster Paris, I'm going to spray with, let me see if I can get that there on the camera. Okay. That's a can of primer, and it's a filler primer. I just want to see what's going to happen in terms of, is it going to fill in these cracks and stuff, or is it going to leave them still rough? We'll see that. See if that works. And then lastly, I'm going to take the household paint, and I'm going to try and spray it with this airbrush. I've got 4 or 5 airbrushes. This is the big daddy of them all, and so I figured I wanted to test this one, because if this works, I'm going to probably spray the entire inside of the quarry using this air gun. So we're going to give this a shot, see how it works. This is actually, this is the first time this gun's been used for anything. It's I mean, it's just too big to paint little models and stuff, but it is good for scenery, for coverage. So let's get started here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint all of these up today, and then tomorrow, which will be Thursday here in Ontario, I'm then going to make up some washes. I got some acrylic washes from Ammo in Spain, and they arrived today, which is amazing, because they were only ordered a couple of days ago. It's just, you would think that it would take a lot longer with COVID and everything, but they're here. So I'm going to then try and weather these 3 using those washes and some other washes I have, and we'll see what it looks like. This is an experiment to figure out what I want the walls of the quarry to look like, and have an understanding of that before I go in and physically make a mess and don't like what I'm doing. So here we go. So the first one is, just going to take a little water here and stir up the household latex. Let's go over there, and okay, it's covering pretty well. Now the water's helping. So this gray would be the undercoat. After the undercoat's dry, I'm probably going to come back with some darker colors to match the tile grout that I'm using for the floor of the quarry and stuff, and we'll see how that goes. So this is a really cheap brush, and all the bristles are coming off it. So there we have that. We'll put that back in the water here, clean it up. Now this is the spray can of primer filler. High build formulation, fills in imperfections. Well, I don't think that the cracks in the quarry are imperfections. They're part of the well, here it goes. There's the little ball rolling around. They're part of the charm of the of the quarry. So here we go. And we'll see how this works. Now I'm going to pull this away from the table. I'm going to switch back so you can see me do it. Because I don't want to get this cutting mat and the whole surface here covered in gray paint. So I'm just going to step back a bit and do it like this and spray away. Oh God, this stuff has a smell. Wow, does it ever have a smell? Turn it upside down, spray a little. And oh my Lord, I should have had a mask on. Now, it's a much flatter color paint, but it's close. It's very close to this this house paint. So we'll see what happens. Now, this is the fun one. I got some paint here, and I got some water here. Now I know for a fact that I can't run this paint through that airbrush without diluting it. So I'm trying to make it as everybody on the internet who teaches painting, something close to what looks like skim milk. So it is running nicely off the edge of this little bowl. Brush back in the water. Even though they're cheap as chips, I don't throw them out unless I have to. Now here we go. So I'm hoping that's enough. I don't really care if it's not enough, but I hope it's enough. And my compressor is a big, what is she? She's a 10-gallon monster. Sits over on the other end of the basement here. So she may kick in and you may hear it, but I'm not sure you will. There she is. She just kicked in. And I'm going to have to turn up the nozzle on this thing. There we are. I've got the compressor set to about 25 pounds PSI. And gee whiz, it's working. It's not quick. And it's sure not spraying as fast as the spray can did. Let's go open it up a little bit more, see if that makes any difference. Oh, that makes a huge difference. There we go. I may use this because it's putting on a very light, thin layer, which will allow me to do washes over top of it. I'm going to check and see if I still got paint. Oh, I still got paint. Oh, with the cap off, it sprays much better. So if it splashes around, that hole might be closed. Again, if this is running, it doesn't really matter. This is a rock face. This isn't a diesel engine or a car. Just going to make sure this hole is open. Oh, it is. I just wonder why it was being so quiet. Okay, there we go. Alright, we'll call it quits on that. So now we have three kinds of gray rocks. I'm just going to pour the paint back in here. And once I stop for the day, I'm going to have to wash that out. I'm going to put the lid back on the paint before I spill it. So this little quart is probably going to last me, well, of course we're in Canada, so I should be saying liter. It's actually 870 milliliters. It's not even a full liter. But you can see quite clearly now the three of them. Again, plaster Paris mortar sprayed with the airbrush thing, the spray can of filler primer, and a paintbrush on them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shut down for the evening, and I'm going to go and finish making supper for my wife. And tomorrow we'll take a look at these, and we will try weathering them with washes. I've got, like I said, I've got acrylic washes from Ammo. They sent me a nice package. I paid for it. They didn't send it free. And we'll give these guys all overnight to dry. Again, as I've said many times, this basement is not warm. I mean, you see me wearing a sweatshirt, usually I'm wearing a toque or a hat or something, because once you start working down here for a couple hours, you start to notice that it's cool. It's great in the summer, but in the winter it's not the best thing in the world. So anyway, I'm going to stop for now here, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. And I hope you have a good night. And for you, it's going to be like 30 seconds. And for me, it's going to be, well, 12 hours probably. So we'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully everything goes fine. So welcome back. The paint is dried overnight, and I've got an array of different washes here in front of me. I've also got some oil washes, and the rest are acrylic. These ones here are from Ammo, the small little white bottles here. I'll switch over here and you can see them. So these little bottles are from Ammo. They're all washes. I bought a set of 15. I've got something called a neutral wash from MIG. And then from Model Air, which is BAO, I've got dark earth, black, dark brown, and gunmetal. And then I got a couple more over here, which is this is a deep gray wash, it says on the packaging. So what we're going to do is we're probably going to divide these up into sections. We're not going to do a complete. And I'm just going to talk about doing the washes as I do them. Now this is brand new to me. I've never done this before. So we'll see how it goes. Of the three, the latex paint on the Sculptamold, I don't know why, but it doesn't really impress me. I painted it on with a brush. Maybe it was too thick, but we'll see what happens when we put a wash over top of that. The spray can in the middle, it's not bad, although I don't know I want to subjugate myself to the stink of spraying that stuff in the entire quarry. It's going to probably take 2 days before the smell disappears from the basement with that can of spray paint, which was Rust-Oleum primer, filler primer. I think I got this at Canadian Tire. So it's I've got about 3-4 cans of this. Sometimes I use it on models that I build or 3D print. It helps fill in some of the print lines a little bit. But for this purpose, I don't know that I'm going to use it for the quarry. And then this last one over here is the one I sprayed with my big airbrush, sort of professional car painting kind of style paintbrush. Learned something new about it after I started cleaning it, which is I was adjusting it, thinking I was adjusting the nozzle by turning this on the back, but I wasn't. Turns out to adjust the nozzle on this one, you turn the front. So I got a much better spray pattern when I was running water through it to clean it than I was when I was running paint through it. So I now know how to use this properly. So we'll see how it goes. I've also got two oil tubes here, two oil paint tubes here. Now I've got a bunch of these. I've got a box of 5, got them from Germany, that are usually used to weather models, like plastic models that you build, like, and in particular this is designed for military models like tanks. So I've got a box of 5 of those, and then I've got about 6 or 7 more of these. So all I've done here is pick out burnt umber and ochre. They're both browns, and we'll give that a shot as well. Now, of course, the difference between an oil wash and a paint-based or acrylic-based wash is that one is thinned with water and one is thinned with thinners. And once you use your brush on an oil-based paint, then that brush pretty well has to stay that way, unless you're going to invest a lot of time trying to get all the oils out of the paintbrush itself. So I've got usually buy my brushes at the dollar store. They sell them in different packs, and these are pretty good little brushes, these brushes. So I've got 2 of these for oil, because we're not going to use a lot of oil. And I've got this big one for the water-based. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take these little cups of ours, again, dollar store, and I'm going to put some water in it. First, I'm going to put some paint in it first, and then I'm going to put some water in it. And I think we'll start with the latex paint here, the household paint, and see what happens. Now, I think for best video here, we're going to stay with this shot where you're seeing my hands and you can just hear me talk. That way you can actually see what's happening. Otherwise, we're going to be switching back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If I feel there's a need to switch back, I'll switch back. But for now, we're gonna stick with this shot. So what's going to happen here is I am going to use a pipette and get some water. And I'm going to put 2 full pipettes of water in here. And let's see what we start with. Well, why don't we start with black? Now this again is the VAO. It's number 71.073. It's acrylic. And before I started running the video, I shook up all of my paint. So if it was just right over here, that's my my paint mixer, and you just all I ever do is turn the bottle upside down, put the pointy end in, and then just press down, and it vibrates it like mad. It's well worth having one of these if you've got paint sitting around for a long time. So I'm just going to give that a little shot here, and stop. Now all I'm going to do is put in 1 or 2 drops of the color. First off, since I've never done this before, I don't know how much paint to put in. And second off, I don't want to waste any paint. So we're going to go 1, 2, well, that doesn't look like very much, 3, 4, 5. Alright. Put the cap back on. And mix this up. Oh, it does. It goes a long way. So we're going to probably keep to that ratio with the water base. We're going to 2 full pipettes and 5 drops of paint. So we'll start with the latex on this side and we'll see what happens. Oh,
That's not bad.
you can see that working its way into the cracks. Okay, the primer
In the middle?
I'm going to try and keep the paint moving around close to the camera so you can see what's going on. And I just had a thought, since these are all marked as washes, or at least we'll leave this. Okay, so this is the VAO, and then here this one. Now, obviously, you're going to build up the color, so I'm going to work like that. Let's see, I'll just move that. Try to figure out which way to go here. Still haven't learned this. There we go, that's better. So you can see this area's gone fairly dark. Now, blackwash. I never bothered to check to see whether there was a cap on the top. Nope, there isn't. Again, we'll just give this a little bit of a shake. Now, because this says it's already a wash, I'm not going to put any water in it. I'm going to just see what happens. Oh, now that's dark. Is that ever dark? Snap that closed. I'm going to take a little bit of water here. Wow. Okay, let's see what happens. This is oh yeah. So straight out of the bottle, you can see that goes on as a pretty dark. So it does need to be thinned a bit. That's getting better. It looks darker on camera than it is in person. It is filling in the cracks. I'm going to take a pipette and put some water in here, just not much, just enough. Like I say, this is an experiment. I've never used these paints before. Okay, that's better. So right away I can tell that I'm probably going to want to use these washes and water them down a bit. That looks pretty much like the color of the grout that we were using. So, okay, stir this up again. Wipe it off a bit, and let's try this side here on this one. Now I'm definitely leaning towards using the big spray gun to paint the inside of the quarry. All right. So that was Ammo's black wash watered down with probably 5 or 6, actually 3 or 4 drops of the paint, which was very thick when I went on the first time. And so I watered it down with, I would say probably an ounce of water, not very much at all. We've done the straight black from VAL. So let's try something different. Now I've got a brown wash, a dark wash, an ochre wash. Well, we'll bring that one forward since we've got ochre paint. This is a deep gray. Oh, here's a light rust. Let's try that one. Now some of these obviously were designed for painting military vehicles, because this says Africa Corps wash. Now I have no idea what color that is. It's just, and this one is tracks wash. So obviously for painting the tracks on a vehicle. So we'll bring another little bowl forward, and we're gonna give this ochre a little bit of a push. Now it does seem that the paint is on the latex paint, the house paint, is sitting just sitting on the surface. Whereas with the plaster of Paris and cellulose fiber, it's soaked in nicely. And the same with the one over here where it's plaster of Paris mortar and cellulose fiber. It's really sunk in to the surface. So I think that automatically eliminates the latex paint straight out of the can. And like I said, I'm not sure I want to use the filler primer because of the smell. I have a mask, respirator, and safety glasses and everything else. I'm just concerned about how this place would smell after what would be maybe an hour or two of spray painting with this stuff, because just spray painting it yesterday for a minute or two was overwhelming. So I think we're going to go with the mortar, plaster Paris, and cellulose fiber for the remainder of the quarry. So here I'm putting in, I can actually tell you how much I'm putting in. I'm putting in 1.5 milliliters. So I mean it's a minuscule amount basically. So and this time we'll do the same thing again. We'll start with the latex paint, and oh yeah, it's definitely brown. But the latex paint seems to have completely sealed the surface of the Sculptamold. So this stuff is sitting on the surface. Can you see that it's brown? There. See how that's brown. And now we're going to take take it again, and spread this on here. Just kind of put a little bit over the black, see what it does. And again, it is soaking in nicely into the casting and the homemade Sculptamold. And then lastly, we'll do the top here. And down the side. I think you can see there's the line between the brown and the black. So that's it is nicely setting into the into the material. So let's put that one. Let's see. Okay, that one was. Which one was that? I think that was the light. Now I'm confusing myself. Let's call that the ochre wash. Let's bring the can forward, and I'll give this one bit of a shake. Again, 4 drops. Excuse me. Put that right beside the can so this time I remember. Again. And mix it up. I'm not changing the cleaning the brush between washes. We'll see what happens. Alright, so once more, I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to put this on the camera so you can see it. So this is definitely rusty. And again, as I brush this on, it sits right on the surface in puddles. It's not working its way into the actual material below it. So let's we'll do this. But it is definitely on these two soaking into the surface. You can see that there. And one more over here. I don't know. Can you see that now? Oh yeah, you can still see it. So we've got the black here. Then we've got the ochre brown that was there. It looks kind of greenish on camera. And then we got this rust that I just put in place. So that's all the that's the small washes we have. I have this one neutral wash from MIG, which I'm going to try because it's a different paint from all the others, and it is already a wash. It is actually very, very liquid. It doesn't come out in drops, it comes out in a flow. So that's something to see. So here we go, and we'll work it down here. Again. And it really flows. Wow, does it ever really flow. It flows beautifully. That's good to know. Alright, so now we've done the black, the ochre, the rust, and this wash by a MIG that's called neutral, which is this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these around, and we're going to stop using water. Let's go clean the brush. So what we're going to do here is turn these around, and so you are seeing the the unpainted sides of this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work with, okay, that's that wash there. Okay. So we're going to put these little ones away, just over here. Now I have a whack of paint. I went on a buying spree about 4 to 6 months ago, and I got a whack of different paints, knowing that I would need them. And at the time I was still working, so I could afford to buy them. Now that I'm retired, it's not the same deal. So I'm just going to move these little bowls out of the way because I need to bring in a piece of foam core, because this is an important step with using oils. Now Oil paints, as I say, have an oil in them, and since I was, I still am. I have a bachelor's of arts, of fine arts in painting and printmaking. I know exactly how these work. So there's typically it's linseed oil that's in these things, and you can use it, but it smells a bit much. And these can be thinned with mineral spirits from your hardware store. It's a lot cheaper than going into, say, Michael's or an art store per se, and buying their thinners. Because it's a specialty store, they charge specialty prices. So if you're going to do this, just go to your local hardware store, pick up. I've got almost a liter here, and I think it was price is not on the SKU is on it, but the price isn't. But I don't think it cost me very much. So the first thing you do with oils is you want to try and leach out some of the oil that's in the paint itself. So you're going to take this and we're going to squish it onto this foam core. Now, because the paper in the foam core is absorbent, it's going to absorb some of this. And I really should go grab my palette, which is right over there. So just give me a sec. There we go. This will make things a little easier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to transfer some of this. What's blocking my vision? Oh, this is blocking. Okay, let's move that out of the way. I'm going to transfer some of this oil paint into the palette, and then I'm going to squirt some mineral spirits in there to thin it down. So the question is, how do you know how much to make? Well, I guess the best way to do it is to mix up, put as much thinner in as you think you need for the area you're going to paint. So here I'm just putting the mineral spirits in this little container. And I'm going to put that out of the way again. So what we're going to do is transfer the paint from the foam core to this, and then we're going to add the mineral spirits in, and just keep adding and adding until we have what looks like a good wash. So here we go. So we got mineral spirits here. I got a pipette that hasn't been used for water, and I've got paintbrush. So taking the paint, I'm just going to put it in here. Now the other thing with oil paints is they take not forever to dry, but they take a long time to dry. So you can put them on a surface, let them soak in, and then take a let's just drop there, drop there. So you have a long working time. So I've got more than enough to do the three samples here. So we'll switch back here, and you can see there's the palette with the paint in it. You can see it's pretty runny. Okay, and we're going to, okay, let's see how we're going to do this. Put this over there for a second. Put the palette down flat. And now the other thing too about oil paints is the oil paints will go over the acrylics, no problem. Like this latex paint and the thinner the filler primer and the spray gun. This oil paint will go over that acrylic paint. But the other way around does not work. You cannot put acrylics over top of oils and have them work. It's just, it's the old adage, you can't mix oil and water. So, here we go. So, here again. Now, visually, this doesn't look much different than the strip. Let me just get my finger there. This strip here, and I think it'll dry just about the same. Okay, now because we turned it around, this is the one where the spray gun was used. This is still the primer, and this is the latex down here at this end. So now we're gonna go to the one where the primer was used. This is flowing very nicely. Like I said, I put just a dab of paint. Actually, this is a nice finish in terms of its not being in any way shiny or stuff. It's very matte as it goes down. Although most of the others are too, true, to be honest. So that's pretty good there. And now the spray gun. No, the latex, sorry. This is the latex. And it's running down the latex pretty good, or latex paint. There we go. So just clean the brush off. We'll grab the dark. Let me just tell you exactly what this is called. Burnt umber. Now, burnt umber is one of those colors that you see a lot of people use. When they're weathering things. That's the other nice thing about this, is that you can put these on and they will. Did I just do that? I did that, I didn't I? So we are going to, I just put the oil pump, the mineral spirits pipette in the water. That's not a good thing. There we go. Back in there. And so when you've got vehicles or rolling stock engines and you want to weather them, you can put this stuff on, and because it takes so long to dry, you can wipe it off and just leave the paint in the crevices. So we'll start back over here, and let me see if I can, let's just do that out there. Alright, now on top of the primer. I think that needs a little bit more mineral spirits. Not flowing as nicely as I want it to. There we go. There we go. Now what I'm going to do here on this one is I'm going to mix between the two. So here's that, and there's that, and they just naturally flow together. So you actually do get a different color. Not much of a change, but enough to make a difference. And then lastly, we're going to put this on the latex. Now again, as I said, the latex paint seems to have completely sealed the surface. So it's probably going to take a long, long time for this to dry. But that's not bad. That's not bad. Alright. This time I'll clean this brush off in the mineral spirits. And I'm going to stick that. Well, I just got, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to lay it right on top of the mineral spirits, and then I know it was used for oil. So as you can see, it's not difficult to do. Easy enough to paint. But it has helped me make a decision. So when you look at these, I'm going to switch back because I think I can give you a better look. So this one that you're looking at right now, this is the spray gun, and you can see you can just make out the difference in all the different colors. The very bottom is the oil, and the top is the water base. Then we have the middle one, and again, bottom is oil, top is water base. And lastly, the latex paint. And as you can see, there is quite a difference. It doesn't look natural, and in all things model railroading, you're trying to at least simulate the real world. So I don't think that this is going to work in terms of actually painting inside the quarry itself. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to just going to grab something here just to show you. I've got all these oil paints, and there's a industrial earth, a dark rust, light rust, faded white, dust, and then I've got one that's sepia. This set contains engine grease, dark mud, light mud, earth, brown wash, and a snow wash. So what I'm going to do is paint the inside of the quarry using the big spray gun. Then I'm going to come back and go over the spray gun stuff with the oils in different areas, making it a little different. So what I'm going to do now, just as a quick example, is I'm going to turn this around. And right here at the bottom of your screen, right here, this is the one that I've finally made my mind up on in terms of doing the painting the quarry. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of the two colors of oil paint here and try them over top of this black. This black is already dry. It's soaked right in. So I'm taking the brown, which was the raw umber, and I'm just going to pick out certain areas, and pick up this yellow now, this sepia yellow color. Let's just and I can put that on there and let it flow so that I simulate sort of rocks that have rusted so that there was iron in. So you can see it works pretty well. And because of the thinness of the oils, they nicely go over top of that acrylic paint. So that's it. We've made up our minds and now decided exactly what I'm going to do for the quarry. And you had a chance to watch me experiment on painting and painting the rock surfaces and trying to weather them. This is going to give me a great example to have beside me as I do paint the inside of the quarry, because now I know exactly what paints I used, what oils I used, and I can go ahead and paint the quarry. So I'm going to make this promise, because I still haven't finished putting all of the sculpture mold into the quarry. But next week, the quarry is going to be painted, and or the great majority of it is. I'm not going to be able to sculpture mold everything, because I still have to punch holes and run wires for lining and things like that. But I will put down the base coat of the gray paint, and then we'll start working on weathering the rocks around the quarry itself. Making that promise to you forces me to spend the next several days down here working on the quarry itself. So anyway, thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Again, I don't do this for any other reason but just to share my own experiments and my own little hobby. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.